Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Life as Maya! Can't focus on me. Where we talk about all things life. I get to share my authentic and raw experiences and also be able to have on guests and they can share their experiences of life too. Today I have the founder of May 31, co-host and producer of Momsactually, creative director and mom influencer.
Wow.
TheMorganTyler.
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Truly.
I'm so glad you say yes. When I shot my shot, I honestly didn't know how it was gonna go. I didn't think you would say no, but I was just like,
No, I would not say no to you.
she's a busy lady.
Yes, but you make time for, the people that you feel are important or, that you want to invest in or whatever. So here you go.
Thank you. So for the people who don't know who TheMorganTyler is, how would you introduce yourself?
You know what? I feel like you did it. Like it.
I covered all bases.
Yes, I feel like you did your thing. I really am those things. But most of all, I am a daughter of the King. I really, really do live my life to the fullest, but also the best way I know how that pleases God. I want to make sure that I'm doing and being and living in my purpose, but in the best way possible, which is why May 31 even exists, because I believe that it is possible to have to be a woman that is like, okay, I'm the Proverbs 31 woman, but the modern way. You know what I'm saying? I'm the Proverbs 31 woman, but I am not weird or lame or, I can't be put together or, I can
changing the narrative.
Changing the narrative completely. I mean, I remember when I first started even dating my husband and I realized that he was really, really, really gonna be in full-time ministry and being a pastor. And I was like, that was never, ever, 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 ever my thought process that I was gonna be a pastor's wife. No, that is not what I was never journaling in oh my gosh, I don't know about, there are some women out there that really do want to be a pastor's wife, first lady, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's not my story. It just isn't. And so when I realized that, I also realized what that came with. You know what I'm saying? That title holds a weight. It holds a level of responsibility. And even expectation. People expect you to be a certain type of way.
Exactly.
People expect you to look and to behave and to dress a certain type of way. And I was like, you know what, Morgan? First of all, what does God say?
Right.
What does he say about you? And then how does he, define what a virtuous woman really looks like? And what does that look like in this time? And so right now in my life, I am doing the best that I can to do all of those things while also staying true to who he made me to be.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You answered that question because I remember it was the Millennials Mom Club.
Yes.
And then you did a whole rebrand to May 31. And I didn't know if that was had to do with age or I didn't know it was kind of around Proverbs 31.
Yes. So it was a couple of things. I had been actually wanting to change Millennial Moms Club, the name, for a while.
Really?
Yes. So when I first started the platform in general, it was for a specific reason and it still is. And I believe that May 31 still serves those people.
Yeah.
However, as the brand grew and as I grew as a person, and even as I started to really talk to my audience and recognize what people were struggling with, I was like, okay, we all out here just trying to be the best person and the version of ourselves. And the Millennial Moms Club has always been about the woman, not necessarily the mom.
Yeah.
The mom was in the name. However, I was always talking to the woman. Okay. And which is why I have people like yourself that would be like, I'm not a mom, but I really want to follow because the things that you're talking about really I could be preparing or thinking about now. And so as I began to hear that over and over and over again, I was like, God, what is this? And Proverbs 31 has always been my favorite scripture. I have it tattooed on my arm. Like, it's always been a thing for me, even before I knew really what it truly meant to me, as it continues to like come into fruition. I was like, what is it like I could change it to that really encompasses everybody, no matter if you're a mother, an auntie, a sister, like even the fact that I boxed myself in with the name millennial, because I had a lot of, what is it, Gen Xers,
Gen Z after,
boomers, even like people my mom's age will come up to me and say, I wish I had a platform like this when I was your age, you know, when I was raising my kids, when I was coming up, because there's a level of like certain things that I didn't even think about or I suppressed because I didn't have time to be thinking about that because I was raising kids, and I was like, you know, that previous generation, they're told to kind of just tuck it and move it on. And
get through it,
We're not doing that around here. So I was like, what is it? And so I was like, well, we were made in his image. We were called to be a certain woman, and the woman that we hear about the most, the woman that people talk about the most, is the Proverbs 31 woman.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you were made to be a Proverbs 31 woman. What that looks like for you
could be different.
Could be different for each woman.
Right.
And so that's where that kind of
okay, I get it. Made
molded.
Okay, I like that. I like that because I was
like,
definitely, that was one of my questions. So I'm glad you went into details about that.
Yeah.
But like any other episode, if you could name this chapter of your life, what would you name it?
Oh boy.
It's a big chapter.
Ew. You know what? Oh.
This is always the question that stumps everyone up.
I'm telling you, because when I tell you this chapter of my life has been quite a time. I would name it The Becoming.
The Becoming.
Yes. Becoming, because I think it's one thing to know who you are, right?
Right.
It's one thing to know what your purpose is. But it's like I can literally give you a list of like, Shemaya, this is what you are. Like, this is what I feel like, or I, heard from the Lord that you are this is, or let's put it even plainly. Like, if I give you a list of a syllabus or something like that, like, hey, this is what I need to do to become a doctor.
Got it. Okay.
Right? Like, you know it, you have it, you see it. But then you have to go through the syllabus. You have to go through...
Put it into practice.
You have to go through all the things that actually get you to having that, doctor in front of your name. And so I would say this chapter is certainly Becoming, because there's so much transition. I'm constantly experiencing, while also really being aware. I think that has been something for me that I think is another reason why I would title it that, is because it's one thing to say you want to be a doctor when you're like 5,
right,
or whatever. It's another one to be actually enrolled in school.
Exactly. And go through it.
Really going through it and becoming. Yeah. So I think now that I'm really in process of it all.
Yeah. But it feels surreal.
It's kind of wild, to say the least. And so I think that's what I would call it.
Cool. I think mine is very similar, because I was going to name mine Guided Steps.
Okay.
I feel like the most consistent prayer that I've been praying lately is, God, lead my steps. Like, guide my steps. If this isn't in your purpose for me, remove it. Yeah. Or strengthen it in my heart. Yeah. And I feel like even with like Life as Maya, kitchen chemistry, Maya Mills, all the things. Yes. I'm just doing it. Like, people are like, the vision, where you get these visions from? I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I think of it something and I put it into practice. Yeah. So it's like I'm really seeing the prayer actually happen, like guided steps. So
I love that.
Nice. Well, I don't really think we need an icebreaker, but I just want to do like
Let's
this
do
or
it.
that.
Why not?
We don't got the paddles like they got actually right now. But just
Why not?
So I'm gonna say a statement. You tell me which part you agree with.
Okay.
All right. It's best to be as transparent as possible on all platforms so people can relate, or privacy to protect your peace. I know it's a hard one.
That's hard. I lean to the first one.
Okay.
Being as transparent as possible. I'll go ahead and pick that one because I'm pretty transparent.
Yeah.
I think the caveat to it is you have to be mindful of when to share. You could be private while also being transparent. Something that I share today may really be something that I've already overcome last month.
Exactly.
So I'm still being transparent. I'm still sharing, but maybe I had to get through it first.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to share something while you're still going through it.
Yeah.
Okay. I am pursuing opportunity in social media, or this fell into my lap.
This fell into my lap.
Really?
Yeah. It definitely did. I was not pursuing it at all.
Wow. Okay, cool. All right. I enjoy cooking, or I just do it to feed myself.
I love it. I enjoy it so much. It's definitely something that I hope to really like fully dive in. You have been
I've been trying.
Diving in,
I'm
honey.
just trying to go in.
I need a meal.
We'll cook one day. We should do an episode where we cook.
That would be fun.
That. Because you have a food page too.
Yes.
I just saw you post about a brand. I won't say the name, but I'm like, how are they?
Yes. Good.
But yeah, we're gonna definitely have to cook together.
Yes.
And we've been planning that for a while. We just have not done it.
I would love to.
I miss my 20s, or my 30s have been treating me the best.
Oh, I love my 30s. Would not trade them for the world. I feel like the 30s are like when you have true understanding of yourself. The 20s is like you really just out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You out here figuring it out. And even your 30s, you still absolutely you're like, ooh, this is ghetto. But your 30s, you have a lot more understanding. At least for me. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, even all the understanding that I had in my 20s, because I had to grow up really fast, I definitely for certain feel like, okay, but I know this now. And if I'm not applying it, that's just straight like negligence and disobedience.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's the most consistent piece of like, not advice, but like the thing that I've heard the most about your 30s. Like, yes. It's like you finally are like, it's like a brain cell just turns on and you're like, okay, I got it. Like I'm figuring it out.
Yes.
So hopefully.
I'm not gonna say when you turn 30, it's not still gonna be like, but now it's more those kind of like what I said, the becoming of, okay, I know this about myself. I know this is what God said. Now, all right, God,
Let's step into it. It's time to step into it.
Okay. All right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, these are going to be a little quicker, like rapid fire. 757 or Maryland?
757.
Really?
I got to rep it because that's where I'm from, but I would never move back.
Okay, because I was like, I'd never hear people talk about the 757.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Too much. That's too much.
Family fun night or night out with the girls?
It depends.
Depends on the day.
It depends. That's hard. I gotta be in the middle.
That
is
real hard. Like, why would I make you choose?
Yes. That's
Podcast
hard.
girly or TV show?
TV show. I like the full production of it all.
Okay. I feel like I've been stepping into that because all I am is on YouTube.
Yeah.
I only watch podcasts, but like lately I've been starting to watch more TV shows and I'm just like, wow, this is a good storyline.
Yes.
Zara or H&M?
Zara.
Matcha or iced coffee?
Iced coffee.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for the icebreaker. Those last two answers, I cannot find anything cute in Zara. I am not. Like, when I go into Zara stores, I don't find.
You gotta really be.
And then when girls post stuff and they're like, from Zara, I'm like, where'd you find it?
If y'all pay attention, every time I like link my items, it's from Zara.
Exactly.
Every single time.
Well, we're gonna have to go shopping together.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So the whole reason we're here is because Morgan is a mom.
Yeah.
She's all the things. But I do just want to talk to you about like your journey of motherhood, because like you said, it started off in your 20s.
Yes.
And I'm about to be 24 this year, and I love kids. Like, I absolutely adore kids. Like,
Yeah.
I know, like, I feel like I could keep a baby alive.
Yes,
but
you
when
can.
I think about the every day I have constantly, but I just really am just like, how are people mothers at this age? Like, you're a mother full time. So I just want to jump into like how your journey was.
Yes.
But before we even get into like you being a mom, how was like your childhood? Like, were you in a 2-parent household? Were you closer to your mom, closer to your dad? How many siblings? All that.
Wow. Okay, so childhood was cool. I have one sister. I definitely closer to my mom because they did end up getting divorced. So I do come from a divorced household. And then it was pretty much like me, my mom, and my sister.
Okay.
Pretty much like all the time. What was the other question?
That was really it. Just like, so you would say like you were closer to your mom. That's probably why you're so like girlhood.
Yeah, I think, yes. I would definitely say seeing my mom, seeing my grandma, my aunt, like just seeing the woman. And then also like my best friend, I would really spend a lot of time over her house when I was a kid. And her mom always had like her best friend. They still to this day, like her best friend and her sister around, and it was just always like this little
community village.
Yes, like this little village. So, and then when I would come home, it would be me, my mom, and my sister.
Oh,
so nice. It's just like to see now, even when you're older, I think now I run back sometimes in my mind of my childhood. I'm like, yo, if I'm like experiencing these things now, what were they doing? And then they were also, from what I remember, like never really broke a sweat.
Yeah.
Like, and then when they did, I'm sure that they had their moments. I'm sure they had like their time where they finally like broke or whatever, but not in front of us.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same. I come from a divorced family as well. And like we went through a lot, but like as a kid, I never saw the stress on my mom.
Yeah.
And now looking back now, like, and I'm paying bills, I'm like, how didn't she show it?
Yeah.
Because I be telling my friends, I'm not going out. Like, I'm not going out this weekend. I can't.
Yeah.
So just knowing that she was carrying all that with 4 kids, I just can't even imagine.
100%.
When you were growing up, though, did you know, like, you wanted to be a mom one day?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to be a mom. I thought I wanted a big family. I thought I wanted at least, like, 4 or 5 kids.
Okay, you have 3 right now.
And I have 3, and I can't imagine having any more.
You're done.
The best we're going to get is a dog.
I was going to try to aim for another boy for you.
No.
Okay. It's okay, though.
I also can't have kids anymore, so I no.
Oh, like, at all?
No.
It's
done.
Get into that?
Sure, you want to ask? Okay.
Like, why? Why can't you have kids anymore?
So I actually ended up having, I suffered from endometriosis, ovarian cysts, and I had cervical cancer and didn't know it.
Wow.
Yes. So I always had the endometriosis and ovarian cysts, and I was dealing with that since I was like 16, 17, and it progressively got worse. I had a couple surgeries, and that's how I was even able to have my kids, because, you know, with endometriosis, over time you become infertile. So even the fact that I had my kids is a miracle, and the way I had them so young, it was like God knew what he was doing.
Right now. Yeah,
because I actually ended up having a partial hysterectomy at 29.
Wow.
And so when they did this hysterectomy, he was like, yeah, I'm really glad that we like went in because you had cancer all over your cervix.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, because you know you hear about it, like Black women getting misdiagnosed all the time. Do you think your doctor, like that whole experience, do you think you were listened to?
So what's interesting is, unfortunately, because I had moved, so from the time that I was like really starting to deal with all of the things, I had the same doctor. Okay. Then we moved to another area, and I had to like pretty much start the process all over again. Yeah. Even though they had my file, it was like it's like they weren't, to your point, it's like they weren't like taking it all into consideration. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, well, she has endometriosis. Endometriosis is not curable. It's not, it's not something that you can just like get rid of whatever they like take out. Like I've had the surgeries where they're like scrape it all out or whatever. It just comes back. It can
come back. Oh wow.
So they have different medicines, and I did those and all of the stuff, but even the medicine you can only be on for 6 months at a time.
Wow.
Yes. So
that's a whole thing.
Yes.
I mean, I knew it was pretty serious, but I don't know why I didn't know it was not curable.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
It is not one of those things. It's kind of something you just live with.
Okay.
And so when I had to basically get a new doctor, that's when I felt like I wasn't being listened to.
Got it.
And my body was like, no, there's something wrong. So I actually ended up traveling back to my old doctor. And then that's when we got everything taken care of, and that's how I had the surgery. I went back to my old doctor.
By your old doctor just being the one. Listen, that sucks. Yeah, you hear about that too.
And he was a black man, so shout out to you. I love him so much.
We need y'all. Y'all are important.
Yeah.
So when you found out you were pregnant with your first daughter, Layla, you were 20 or 19?
19.
But you had her at 20.
Yes.
Okay. Who's the first person you told?
Like,
were you by yourself when you found out?
Yes, I was by myself. Yes. The first person I told, I think, was her dad. Okay. I feel like.
Were you guys dating at that point?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Were you, I know, like, everybody's scared. You can't prepare for motherhood, but were you kind of just like, all right, we're here, like, I'm just going to have to do it?
Yes, definitely. What I could say even about him is he was pretty much like, well, like, here we are. But he immediately was supportive. Like, okay, it was never like, what are we gonna do? It was like, all right, we're gonna figure it out.
Okay.
And then, I mean, of course, that was the initial reaction, and you actually had to go through the pregnancy. I think over time is when I felt all the emotions of like, oh my gosh, like, this is really happening. I'm 19 years old. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
All those things is definitely what I experienced, but I never ever questioned that I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Like, it was never a thing of I probably should rethink this whole entire thing, or it was never, I don't know. It never crossed my mind. It was just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting ready to be a mom.
Right.
This is wild.
This is wild.
This is wild. This is not what I was envisioning. I had like just got into school.
Like into college?
Yes.
Wow. Like, did you finish?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
didn't.
Some people can, but it's
some
hard.
people can. It's crazy because I was like, I'm determined. I'm gonna be that mom who, like, you know, graduates and has her baby on the
has a baby with the little cap.
Right. Like, I just knew I was gonna be that mom, and then like life really hits.
Life happens.
And you realize, like, the pictures are cool, but is this realistic? You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot that goes behind that.
And so after I had, at the time I was in school for mass communications. I was on campus, and then my teachers worked with me, and I transferred to all online.
Okay.
So then I started all online classes, and even that was like, girl,
I couldn't imagine it.
You've lost your mind if you think you're about to have this newborn. And also, like, her dad and I were, even before, like, when we were not on the best terms. So, like, dealing with the stress of, okay, this relationship is probably not gonna work, and you just had this baby, and you're also trying to go to school, like, full time. I didn't reduce my classes.
Oh, you're trying to get done 4 years.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I literally just took all my classes and transferred them online.
Wow.
Yes.
That was before online classes was really, really a thing. Like, now it's like no one have online classes.
Yes. And so I was like, yeah, Morgan, something has to give.
One of these things gonna have to give.
One of these things gotta go. And it made me think about, like, well, Morgan, what do you want out of life? You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't even really answer that.
Right.
I just knew that at the time this was not gonna work.
Yeah.
And so I was in school for mass communications, and then after that, once I decided I wasn't going to do school at all, I had this obsession with fitness. So then I found an online school to go to school specifically for like physical science and personal training. So I did that. And then I still was like, this ain't it. You want me to do what? You want me to record videos of me? Like, because for class, we had to literally like record ourselves doing certain exercises and like having these tests with all these muscles. And I was like, I am breastfeeding right now. I don't
feel like working.
I can't do this. So I had to rethink. And I think I say and I give these details because I think it's so easy for us to have these like big, grand, visions for our lives or like these ideas. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to work. And in that moment, I had two options. I could either say like, Morgan, what makes sense right now? Does this make sense? No.
Yeah.
And like completely decide that I wasn't going to do it. Is this me giving up and saying that I'm a failure? Or is this me being wise?
I'm doing this in the best.
You know what I'm saying?
Right now,
yeah, myself and my child.
And your child.
Because I can't even give my full attention to my kid because I'm over here trying to do jump squats in the living room. Let's make it make sense.
With baby in the background.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. So, I just had to make that decision, and I did. And I never felt like, I think it was like for a moment. You can grieve a season.
Yeah.
But you move on.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what I did.
And I think people need to hear those details because, like, looking on anyone's social media, you can just assume it's a straight path.
No, and absolutely not.
Unless you're watching her podcast and you, like, see, you hear your stories. But you can just be like, oh, my God, she had a baby at 20. Yeah. And now look at her. She's so successful. She's done her thing. Like, but not even knowing, like, you had to leave school. Then you tried this. You had to leave that. But then, like, you kept going. And that's the most important thing is, like, to continue to go.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're here now.
Me too, girl.
So you said you did have to, like, that relationship ended. How was it transitioning from, like, that being, like, your boyfriend to, like, co-parenting? And still now, like, how is co-parenting? Giggle. I'm sure it's a journey. I've watched my parents, like, go through. It's honestly not like a, like, oh, it's right here and go. It's like this.
No. It is something, I think, especially, here's the thing, too. Like, something that I have to remember is we were so young. So a lot of the times we were punishing each other for just simple immaturity. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is something I can figure out now looking back. But we were 19 and 20 years old and literally we had started dating I think so we were dating in 2009 or 10, had Layla in 2012. So 17, 18 years old, then you like jump.
Trying to make it work.
Yeah, like you go from I literally go from graduating high school to being a mom.
Yeah.
And graduating high school is when you're like supposed to be like, oh, I'm finally an adult. And this is when I'm supposed to start like figuring out my life. Right. What do I want to do? What do I not want to do? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no, I'm figuring out my life. It's I'm in life.
Yeah.
And we figuring it out and we supposed to like decide if we want to play house or, you know, whatever the case may be. We were engaged for a second. Like,
really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I know. Crazy. No, so fun fact, you were getting a lot of tea.
Yeah.
That I don't ever really talk about unless you are like in my very, very close-knit circle. Nobody really knows this, but
this is what life is nice about. We try to dig deep.
Dig deep. Yeah, you really
talk
are.
About all the things life.
And because again, like I said, I really am like as transparent as I can be because I think that to your point, a lot of people look on social media and you look at people's lives and you deem yours insignificant or like you're failing because you're not where that person is, not knowing how long or what it took for them to get there.
Where they are.
This is not overnight.
Exactly.
At all.
But sometimes it looks like that. And then I have a problem with that. Like, I really have to remind myself, like, you don't know their story. And that's why I like Life as Mine is from, because I like to hear people talk about their life stories.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone has like such a unique experience in this thing we call life. But like just social media, you will form assumptions about people and they be so wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that you're sharing. I had no idea you guys were engaged. So,
we were.
For a moment or whatever.
We were. So I think even to that, when I finally, it was something that I had to decide. Like, I think you can easily say, hey, like, this is it. Mm-hmm. Me coming from a divorced household, it took a lot for me to make that decision, because I'm like, Morgan, you're literally bringing your daughter into what you could. Two things. One or two ways that, your child could grow up. Your child can grow up in a situation where you are basically like showing them a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
But in the sake of we a family.
We a family. We
in
the same
together.
household.
We all in the same household.
Yeah.
And so I was like, do you want it to be that? Or do you want it to be, you can decide now that, hey, this did not work out. Does that mean that you failed? Does that mean that she's not going to grow up with an incredible family? Like, God is such a redeemer, not only of like your situation, but he's a redeemer of time. You have to know that like one day for him or one day for you is like
a second
for him.
Right.
And so I had to think about that. Like, what do I want her to see?
Right.
What do I want myself to have to deal with?
Exactly.
Because overall, aside from the kid, I
gotta deal with this. I gotta be in this family. I gotta be in this family too.
I gotta be in this family too. I have to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And to be so young, it's like, I have so much more life. And so I would even pause to say that to someone who might be in like a relationship where you're like, you know what? I feel like I have to make this work. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Especially when you ain't got a ring on your finger.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
especially when you don't got no kids.
When you don't have no kids.
No ring.
And you sitting here deciding that you just want to put yourself through hell. For what?
For what?
For what? Like, you have,
what?
especially in your 20s. I mean, what is the purpose? Just all for the sake to say you have a man?
Yeah.
All for the sake to say you got somebody who gon', take you out, you can get dressed and he'll buy you dinner. Girl, you can buy yourself dinner.
Yes, you and your friends can get dressed and go out.
Yeah. Like, so it's just, and there's no shade to him, because when we were together, when we did work, we worked.
Okay, yeah.
But I think it's like you grow and you change and you evolve, and then you see what you want out of life. You know what I'm saying? And we're two totally different people. We're on two totally different paths. Thank God we still have our kid and we're able to co-parent, and we do it the best we know how. It's not always easy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's very hard, especially as she gets older, just like figuring out the balance of it all and, explaining to her and things like that. And even how I was able to, like, when she was 2 is when I met my husband. So we have really, really, like, again, he's a redeemer of time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She never really had to grow up being with a single mom.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
yes, I was a single mom, but she don't have no memory of it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that part in general is because of obedience. Does it feel?
I was about to say, I'm glad you took a moment to pause and just like say that, because like, it probably did hurt in the moment, but the fact that you like was obedient to God, and God was like, you don't even gotta wait till she's 20 years old for me to bring you a new person. Like, I'm gonna bring you your person, just be obedient. So that's like really good to hear. Like, just sometimes it hurts being obedient, but when you,
oh my gosh,
anytime that I've actually been obedient and not ignored God, like for like whatever amount of seasons, and I've just been obedient, I'm like, oh, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why.
I think too, what we deem as like the way to go is mostly society. right?
Exactly.
And two, like our upbringing, and because even I grew up in church, right? So I'm like, I already had a baby out of wedlock. I need to, and I'm like, I need to make this make sense.
Got it. Yeah.
I need to, we need to be a family so that this makes sense. But who said that?
Who's
God said that, or society said that? You know what I'm saying? Like, he says that he will forgive because at this point I already done sinned. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the deed is done.
The deed is done. We're not married, so it's like, where in the Bible did it say that now I have to get married?
Now you got to get married to fix this. For him to redeem you, you have to get married. Where does that say that?
Who also said that I'm the one who fixes it? Right. The only way that I fixed it is to be obedient.
Exactly.
But I'm not specifically fixing it. He's fixing it. I'm just being obedient so that he can fix it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we have to get out of the mindset of, and we're human, like we're flesh, like, you know what I'm saying? It's normal to feel like, yo, I don't think this makes sense. That's fine. Right. But a lot of times it won't.
Majority of the time. It will never make sense. It'll be like, God, what are you doing in this moment? But it is really important to, like, even not trying to be the handler or the handyman and fix it yourself. Like, sometimes you just gotta hand it over to God. Like, God, I give you this. I know that I brought I know I made this mistake. I know that I'm here now, but, like, God, I'm just abiding in your plan. That's my favorite word. Like, I just want to abide with whatever. Like, let me agree with whatever you have for me. Here you go. Yes. And I feel like you feel that, like, when you actually abide, like, now when you're just like, God, I'm gonna try to do this over here. Can you still be working? But when you, like, really agree with what God has to say about you, then it's just like you feel like a warmth or like peace, and it's like, I know I'm taken care of. So sometimes you just can't fix it yourself, and it's like important that you made that decision for yourself, and for Layla, because, like, you don't know what seeds you're planting when you do stay. Like, my mom stayed for a while in the marriage, and, like, there's grace, you know, but I do know, like, as the adult, there's, like, some form of trauma when it comes to, like, guys with me. I talked about this on my dad's episode, but it's like, the moment a man makes a mistake, it did, like, the reverse for me. My mom forgave him a lot. And it's like the moment somebody makes a mistake, I'm like, out. Out. So you just don't know, like, and at those ages, you don't think your kids are picking up on those types of things. But, like, when you get older, you're like, oh, I know where that's from. Yeah. But now you talked about, like, meeting your husband. Yeah. And you guys have 2 kids through that marriage. How's that been? Like, do you feel like all your pregnancies differed?
Oh my gosh, yes. My girls were the same. They were like literally the same. The very by the book. The boy, no.
The boy. And everybody's always saying they want the boy.
He took me through the ringer.
How so?
Yes. I was anemic. I had insomnia. I had, oh my gosh, what's the thing called? Sciatica, really bad. And then he's the reason why I ended up with, I don't want to say he's the reason, but I ended up with postpartum depression after him. And I didn't have that with my 2 girls. Wow. So to feel like, okay, I know exactly how my pregnancies are going to go. Also, postpartum depression is so interesting to have to, like, go through and see and realize. So once I went through it, I was like, I didn't go through this, before. So what is this that I'm feeling? So it took me a little bit to even, like, recognize that and identify it. But yeah, they're different.
Do you think, like, when you were going through, like, postpartum, or even with, like, Zoe, I'm not saying their names, like, everybody just knows their names, but, like, do you feel like your husband now was very supportive through those pregnancies?
100%, yeah.
Do you think he identified the postpartum depression before you did, or did you?
I think he knew something was off. He didn't know what it was. Yeah. He just was like,
what's going on?
Yeah, like, you good? Like, yeah, pretty much. Like, and I think, too, like, women who do have spouses or whatever, or, a partner that you have kids with, like, have grace on your man, because they are trying to figure it out as much as you are. Yeah. You got to think about, you've been carrying this baby for 9 months. They have not. Your body is going through all these things. They're just kind of catching the strays of what you are going through and trying to figure it out. And also, when you do finally have the baby, they're trying to connect with that baby. Yeah. Because they don't have that immediate connection and sometimes even moms don't, but even some moms don't think about what the dad is going through.
Yeah. Like, you are a stranger.
Coming
into this world.
They're like, I don't know you. This baby. Okay.
This baby? Yeah.
Here we go.
That's nice though. Do you feel like, well, no, I know this. You are a self-care advocate.
Yes.
So having 3 kids, I'm sure it can get hard to not get lost in being a mom. But how do you remain Morgan? Like, how do you keep yourself you as well?
It's why I really have built the platform that I've built, is because yes, we are going to be the mom. Yes, we're going to be the wife. Yes, we're going to be the CEO, the all the titles that we hold. We're going to be those things, right? But before a subtitle, I am Morgan. Right? I am like the person that I was created to be. Outside of all the titles, I'm just Morgan. And how does Morgan give her best to those titles? Sometimes I don't get it right. I'm not gonna lie to you. But in order for them to get the best of me, in order for my husband to get the best of me, in order for me to show up in my workspaces the best, I have to be the best. I have to pour into me. And I have to figure myself out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make sense to be running on E and then think that my kids are going to get like the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? Or my husband is going to get, my friends, like everybody around me is not going to get the best Morgan that she was created to be if I don't care about me,
myself,
if I don't love myself, if I don't pour back into myself. And so I really do desire to be the best in all those areas. And so I know where it starts. I know where it begins. And also, what I learned is when you are so rooted in caring for you, and you don't put your value in those subtitles, when one flops, you're not like
moved.
You're not, because you know, like, all right, something flopped, and it's probably because either God is saying something and it's time for me to like transition, or like I dropped the ball. Which, okay, I dropped the ball. How do I like fix it? But it's not, oh my gosh, I lost my job, I'm failing. It's because you put all your worth
into a
job. Oh my gosh, I'm divorced, or oh my gosh, we broke up. My life is in shambles. You could grieve it, but my life is not in shambles. I'm all right.
I'm still,
you know what I'm saying? Because I'm rooted somewhere. And by self-care, I say soul care, because when I say rooted, I mean I'm pouring the word into me. I'm giving myself like some true like ground to stand on. And when I get shaky, I know I haven't been pouring into myself. You know what I'm saying?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's like the one thing that millennials specifically has changed though. Because, you know, prior generations, a lot of moms' identity was in motherhood. And then when their kids leave the house, it's like, what am I supposed to do? So I know that's one big difference that I've noticed with the way like parenthood has changed throughout the generations. But have you noticed any differences between like maybe your mom's generation or even your grandma or even Gen Z? Because now we see a lot of Gen Z parents too.
I think it's one, we're definitely caring for ourselves better. We are normalizing that, like, hey, it doesn't, once you become a mom, that's not your identity. Once you become a mom, you don't necessarily have to just transform into this like person who wears skirts down to their knees, up to the above the belly button in a collared shirt, and you know, the hair in a bun, and you're making 3 square meals a day and all things. No, baby, we are delegating. You know what I'm saying?
Delegation
is a big change that I feel like I've seen is, you know, now, and the thing is that these things didn't always exist, but now there's laundry services, there's meal prep services. There are things that, like, if I am in a season where I'm putting my all into my career, well, guess what? Now I know that I can delegate the meals, I can delegate the chores, I can have somebody come clean my house, and I can get a nanny or whatever, and still split my time where I'm not stretching myself thin. Delegation is like the biggest change that I feel like, and it's normal. Nobody's looking down on you and saying, oh my gosh, you have a nanny. Oh my gosh, you have a laundry service. You don't do your own laundry. If anybody is judging you, it's a self thing.
It's a self thing, yeah.
That means that, like, they wish they could get, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's fine, but don't take it, because that is how you grow. That is how you, like, climb the ladder and are able to seemingly do it all. You're not doing it all. You're delegating.
Exactly. And a lot of, like, I feel like in one point, maybe not so much now, there was, like, a shame for that.
Yes,
like, oh, I have an in-house nanny. Like,
yeah.
Now people say, I have an in-house nanny.
Yeah.
Whereas people used to be like, I have an in-house nanny. She just helps with this. Like, no, you don't have to explain. Like,
you don't have to explain.
If you have an in-house nanny, that's okay. Because I've nannied for a family similar to that. And, like, all her friends on the play dates, when we would go out, they would be watching her kids. And I would be, like, out there with the kids. And she'd be sitting back drinking her mimosa. And all her friends can't even enjoy the conversation because they got to keep running around. And she was like, I will not let them, like, make me feel away. Because she would tell me after we leave, be like, so you're just paying her to be around you? Like, and she's like, oh, she's helping out. And then tonight I'll take on the full time. But that's, like, changed my whole perspective when I was nannying for her. Because she was like, they will not shame me. So
because that's her girl time. This is how she's, like, filling her cup while she's also being present. Because to me, I'm like, she's still being present. She's still there. Her kids can still see her. So what her kids are going to remember is, my mom was still, like, absolutely there. You know what I'm saying? They remember the image of their mom. Like, my mom, when I was young, she worked a lot. However, she took us with her. When she was working. So I'm like, she was a hustler, but, like, we were always with her. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was always there. So I feel like that's what I remember is, I don't remember my mom over there, she was always working. I remember, well, she was working all the time, but we were with her.
Made time for me. Exactly. That's good. What are the joys of motherhood that people just don't talk about enough?
I feel like people
talk about them enough.
I feel like people really do talk about them a lot. I think sometimes people, there's two sides of the internet, right? You know, some people, you hear about how ghetto motherhood is. And so it scares the people that don't have kids. And then you hear the ones who are, like, overly obsessed with their kids and they have a million photos and they can't get rid of one to clear their storage. And it's the same photo. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're doing the gentle parenting and just all of the things. That part of it all, I think there's the extremes, but I don't know. I feel like we do a pretty good job. There's the balanced part of it where it's like, I love my kids and I love me.
And I love me.
Like, I love me. And we about to go on this family vacation, and then I'm probably gonna take a vacation after. By myself, and that's fine too. But I love my kids. I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna do the field trip, I'm gonna be the chaperone. Depending on what season I'm in, but it's a great responsibility. It's so rewarding. It's so cool to see a miniature version of you walking around, but also as they become themselves. It's, like, even cooler because I look at my oldest and I'm like, she's gonna be better than me. And I'm excited about that.
You should be.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she is going to surpass me in all ways. And I can't wait to see it.
And that speaks to, like, who you are as a mom too. Well, I do just want to thank the millennials especially for allowing us, because I don't know how Gen Z would have been if we would have all just had our mind like, yep, once you become a mom, that's all you are. Like, that's put everything to the backside. So I want to thank y'all for breaking that barrier for us.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I want to thank y'all too much about gentle parenting, because y'all brought that on too.
I don't be really doing that.
Oh, okay.
I think I have a balance. Like, the balance is we gonna have a conversation,
Okay.
You know, I don't hit my kids. But back in the day, like when they were smaller, they would get a little tap,
tap,
get a little pop. You know what I'm saying? The Bible says, "Spirit of rod, spoil a child." But now, especially as they're older and they communicate and things like that, and I've always talked to my kids, even when they were young. I've never done the baby talk. I've always talked to them like they were adults. Because they can understand everything else. They can understand how to work an iPad. They can understand how to go get the snack that they want. They can absolutely understand when it's time to be disciplined. So we have those conversations. However, some of the narrative of gentle parenting, I don't always agree with, like the choices thing. No, you just gonna do what I said.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I might actually tell you why.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why though. I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say because I said so. I'm gonna tell you why we're making this decision and why you're gonna do what I said. But yeah. I like to say I'm a balanced parent.
It's a balance. It's not hard parenting, not gentle. It's firm.
Yeah.
It's firm.
Especially as they get older. Like I have a preteen. I have to do a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
And explaining.
Curiosity.
And all of that. And I don't want to go back to, I think that's where the gentle parenting came from, because we are like scarred, the millennials. Our parents would like just yell and scream and say, because I said so.
Yeah, exactly.
Even as you were getting older and you didn't feel like you had a voice. I don't want to do that as my kids get older. They do have a voice. They do have an opinion.
That's good.
So that's where I see my like gentle side coming out more as they get older.
Got it.
Now, but
yeah. I don't know how it will be as a parent, so I can't think. But the gentle parent, I don't know too much about that.
Yeah.
But before we close off, if you could give any of the viewers watching one piece of any life advice, what would your life advice be?
Run your race.
Run your race.
I think it's like easy, and you probably hear it all the time, but like truly, 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 run your race. If anything came from this conversation, you hear like I've been up, down, around, all over the place, and we tend to compare because it is in our human nature to compare ourselves. Be inspired. Do not compare. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Be inspired. Do not emulate. Like, do not copy. Because trying to do exactly what that person did, not knowing how they got there, is going to run you ragged. So run your race. Decide and really, really like hear from God. Maya, you could like surpass me. You could get to where I got in 2 years that took me 10. You know what I'm saying? Do not for a second think that you're late, that you're behind, that you're not like where you're supposed to be because it's difficult. Where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. And if you're not exactly where you're supposed to be, it's probably because you have not moved when God told you to.
Okay. I don't think that was for a viewer. That was for me. Speaking of the Lord. That was for me. Especially earlier when you were like I knew this, but like sometimes just hearing it out loud, like a day for us is like a second to God. So while I'm being so impatient about like, okay, God, I'm being consistent. What's going on? He's probably like, girl, relax. So I've been told you to do this and you're just now starting. So relax. So sometimes you do. I needed that reminder. That was good. My piece of life advice today is don't be afraid to like change the narrative. I think that's exactly what Morgan emulates, is changing the narrative of what for so long motherhood was. And just changing it, and not changing the narrative into a more negative way, but just being like, it doesn't always have to be like this for you. It can be something else. So same with whether you're 20, mom, single, whatever you are, like if you're single, you don't have to be sad about it. You can change the narrative that singleness is beautiful for me right now.
Absolutely.
So wherever you're
singles,
run your race and change the narrative.
Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy, please. It's no rush. It really is not a rush.
No,
like I get it, but like, come on. It's so many things you could be doing.
Exactly. While you're single that you won't be able to do as much when you're in a relationship. When you're in that relationship, it's like, well,
the priorities change.
Exactly. That's, exactly.
It shifts. you know.
Well, Morgan, thank you for saying yes.
Of course,
and
anytime.
just turn around so quick. I'm so appreciative.
Yeah,
but
no problem.
Hope we'll see her face again. Maybe on the cooking segment, she might be back on.
Yeah.
You know, show us her tips because she be cooking too.
A little bit,
but
we'll do something sometimes.
Thank you guys for tuning back in. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Can't focus on